Hey guys, welcome back to Torchlight, and let's head straight into the portal.
Water pours from the ruins above and falls down into oblivion. These caverns are lost to time, primal. The ember veins change as I descend, shifting colors, first hidden, then gleaming and glittering. It fascinates me now, as it did when I was young. Even the blight seems more pure here. My experiment may have succeeded if I had used ember from deeper in the mountain, closer to the source. There is still the corruption, of course, but with endless life, that becomes a small matter. Perhaps I will gain more here than I ever imagined.
And with that being said, we've come into the next tile set, the Tutara Caverns. No. Okay, I'm gonna have to open the gate. Well, actually, no. Let's deal with the Face Beast first. Which, if you are playing on hardcore, you should not do. Like, you can kill them, of course, but you should not enter the portals. But I'm not, so... playing on hardcore, that is. And I may have said it before, but the face portals are something they've really improved upon in the second game. They are really varied challenges in the second one, where you basically, aside from like the main quest, you have like these portal area things where you have completely new stuff that you can do. Sometimes it's just sort of defending certain places or surviving things, or there was one where there's like the sort of construction of staircases and corridors and such. Well, actually, it's all from metal, so corridor isn't really the right word, but bridges and staircases and stuff. And it's all in a pool of lava, and that's slowly growing, and you have to sort of run quickly enough to get to Oh.
Your pet is fleeing.
Didn't even notice I was low on health. Never mind. And yeah, you have to run around and try to get as many chests as you can before I just want the gold, thank you. Before the lava goes too high, so you die in the end. And there was just a lot of things like that which just make it quite fun. As you can tell, the problem with this level is my character's level 17, the enemies are level 17. These sort of change level with your character like the Shadow Vault does, and unlike the main dungeon does. So it's entirely possible to die here, simply because you can't outlevel these places, whereas the main dungeon you can sort of outlevel, and that's something you will probably want to do if you're playing on a high difficulty hardcore character. Unless you somehow think that's cheating.
I don't have enough money.
Just kind of I was thinking about things like that when I was watching a speedrunning marathon.
You have gained fame.
Ooh, I've become famous. And someone I was talking to about it basically said that speedrunning was cheating and he hated people who did it. Because it was playing the game wrong, which I don't even get how that works. Especially if you're playing by yourself, how can you play wrong? Oh, doesn't seem to make sense to me, but yeah, what it boiled down to was, or what I thought was how different people are in what they consider cheating in a game. Where I have known someone who accidentally, on a game he played, there was a glitch basically which allowed him to gain increased experience. Like, there was an item in that game, basically consumable, which increased your experience for a short amount of time. And using multiple of these was supposed to stack duration, but it actually stacked effect. It's I don't know, I guess it's a fairly basic programming error, which instead of changing the buff, like the way the game works, it's just if you have a buff already you get the same one, it adds duration, but somehow it didn't register as the same buff. I don't know the precise details, but he'd gotten 10 of these things from a quest reward, and so he popped them all for a boss fight, thinking that, oh, I'm just gonna pop them all now so I don't forget them, and then I'll have lots of bonus experience for a while. But they actually stacked by multiplication. And so he had the 50% experience bonus 10 times, but it wasn't a 500% experience bonus, it was far more, because it's multiplied. So he gained 50% bonus experience from the first buff, and then 50% on the already increased amount of experience from the second. Anyway, point is, he gained a ridiculous amount of experience, and
My inventory is full.
he ended up deleting his character,
I can't carry anymore.
which he had been playing in a way which he considered legit for all the way up to then, but he deleted it because that was cheating and he would have none of it. And I found that quite interesting. Like, that happened ages ago.
Your pet has departed.
I just found it weird that he was willing. He would rather not play the character ever again than having gained those levels in the wrong way. And it's kind of that way in some other games I've played. Guild Wars, it was quite noticeable. Where everybody does at some point, or most people have some point where they say, okay, so this far and no further, this is what's fine, and anything beyond that is totally cheating. In Guild Wars there has been a very active community of speedrunners. Because unlike in other MMOs, in Guild Wars, if you do the area faster, you basically get more rewards. Like this would never actually happen in something like, say, World of Warcraft.
Fortune smiles.
What do we get? Fire damage, I think. Because in World of Warcraft, if you do a dungeon and then you do it, like, it just takes, what, a week until you can do it again? Something like that. There's a counter associated with it, a timer. In Guild Wars, no such feature exists. If you can do the area twice as fast, then in the same time you get twice as many rewards. And that sort of meant that speedrunning just became very popular. It wasn't just something that a few people did because they were interested. It became something that everybody did because it was a good way to earn money. Like, the most advanced tactics and strategies obviously are still only used by people who are actually interested. in speedrunning from a sort of, I guess, challenge perspective,
I am overburdened.
because the faster the tactics, the riskier they are, and eventually it no longer pays off. If only one run in 50 succeeds, then being that little bit faster just doesn't help. But yeah, very active speedrunning community. But in addition to that, there's a very active community of people who spend most of their time in game whining about the fact that people were doing speedruns and that was the wrong way to play. And like the way speedrunning works is obviously you skip anything that's possibly skippable. You try to take advantage of glitches wherever possible.
Insufficient mana.
And there was a whole bunch of people saying that these strategies, the whole speedrunning thing, was destroying the game. And it boils down to anyone who's speedrunning is of the devil and should be obliterated and smitten down into hell. Stuff like that. Sounds extreme, but I've actually there's a sort of like a main German community forum for the game, and they occasionally host runs for like not speedruns, just regular runs where you sign up and then you have a group and then you do certain areas. And the person, or one of the people hosting those runs, has an amount of hatred for speedrunning that is ridiculous. Like to some extent it's just people sort of having different ideas of how they want to play the game. That's fine. I'm not, like, I enjoyed speedrunning in the game, but that's by in no way saying that everyone should do it. You don't want to do it? Fine, don't do it. But that person, I was doing a run with them, which was not a speedrun, it was just a regular old standard run of a certain area in the game. And so we were just chatting because whole team was on TeamSpeak, but it's not that difficult an area that you have to be concentrated all the time. We're taking a bit of a break, so we were just chatting sort of about stuff we'd done. And that was about an hour into the run, so a lot of time already invested. And I just casually happened to mention, like not trying to make a point or anything, just as the conversation went on, I mentioned that I'd recently gotten a certain item from a speedrun. Just a rare skin, nothing particularly interesting. No. But that person was so offended by the fact that I had even been in a speedrun and was tainting that group with the fact that I had done a speedrun, that she went ahead and failed the run on purpose. And it's not...
Your pet has departed.
I'm not just saying that we failed the run and I'm blaming that person. She said, I don't want to play with that sort of person. And then she went ahead and just pulled a bunch of enemies that the group just couldn't handle. And so that was about an hour of time.
Quest complete.
And a fair amount of, like, some items that you use up, basically. All of that gone because somehow even being in the same group with someone who was doing speedruns was unacceptable, and somehow the way the devil got to you. And that's sort of the point where I decided not to do runs with those people anymore. Just, well, I guess they wouldn't take me anymore anyway. That forum has always had a history of being slightly opposed, I guess, to speedrunning, but never in what I perceive to be a major way. But that story really made me realize just how much hate some people have for that, for like an entire part of the community. And it's not, I wasn't trying to recruit or saying that this was the best way to play or anything like that. What did we get? I was just mentioning that I had done one.
I can't carry anymore.
What do we get? Health stolen, okay. That's not too bad. It's obviously not very much, but it's okay. But yeah, it made me realize just how different people are, and that's obviously a very extreme example. I would not expect very many people to act that way, basically. And I don't want it. But just the fact that some people do is kind of my point.
Oh, hello. Good luck to you.
And you do see that in a lot of games, where some person says, oh, just use this and this tactic. I think it was quite common in Demon Souls as well, where
Good day to you.
that game just has a skill which makes a lot of boss fights really simple, basically. Magic, strength...
Hey, good luck to you.
Hello there.
And so, again, a certain forum, different one, but similarly extreme in some of its general views, I guess. Someone was asking for help on a certain boss, and someone replied, posting a video he'd made on using that particular ability. It's Poison Cloud, Death Cloud, something like that. It basically poisons the enemy, and so he slowly dies, and you don't have to deal damage, you just have to spend your time running away from him, and that makes it a lot easier. And so he posted that video, and stating that if you weren't, like, if you didn't insist, or if that person didn't insist on playing with a melee weapon, he could always use this tactic to make it really easy. And so that seemed like a nice thing. It seemed like, oh, great. But the responses were discouraging. Because what followed that post was about 3 pages of people going back and forth saying that this skill should not even be in the game, and it was clearly broken, and it clearly should not be used, and anyone using it would definitely be a cheater, and the only proper way to fight that boss was using, like, a melee weapon, because spells were for cowards, and using that particular spell was totally for people who cheated and probably murder their grandmother. It went, like, it sounds extreme now, but there was actually a lot of personal abuse about someone posting a helpful hint, just because some people think that's the wrong way to play.
Is hurt.
And that just, yeah, it just struck me as odd. That, not only do people not want to be told how to play, they also don't want others to play in a different way, apparently. Like, some of it was just sort of in a joking way. The only real way to fight this guy is naked and with your fists, stuff like that. That was fun. Well, it was intended as fun, and it was kind of interesting. It was actually the first response after the video was posted was quite nice. It was some guy posting a sort of a much more challenging way to defeat the boss, because he'd used
Your pet
a
is
very weak weapon and no armor, basically. I think it might have been the Flame Lurker, but I'm not certain. But yeah, so he was like, if you don't have any good equipment, try this, because it doesn't need any good equipment. And that run was like, it was very slow because his weapon was weak, obviously, and incredibly difficult. So that was clearly intended as a joke. And then people just went overkill, saying that basically, yes, if you want to play properly, you have to play in the most difficult way possible, because that's totally what the game's meant to be. And like, a lot of people seem to think that Demon Souls and Dark Souls and stuff, they just have to be difficult, so any method you have of making it more difficult for yourself, you have to use, apparently. No idea why, but seems to be. Seems to be what some people think.
My pack is full.
Silly little pet. Always fleeing. I should really stop picking up all the stuff. Oh yeah, while it's fleeing I can send it to town, but it'll stop soon. So yeah, I'll stop picking up the white stuff, I guess. Well,
Insufficient mana.
ouch. I hate facing these guys, and I hate facing them here because there's so little space to evade the, like, mana drain cloud thing they do. So I'm guessing the point I'm trying to make is, if you play a game, you have to be aware that other people will be playing it slightly differently, possibly. And so it might be a good idea to just accept the fact that not everyone's playing the game the same way, and that people are trying to get different things out of it. I remember having a lengthy discussion a while ago with someone. I was playing, I think, my first playthrough of Skyrim. No, my first playthrough of thingy, Bioshock Infinite, and I was playing on very easy, like on the easiest possible difficulty. Someone else told me that I was spoiling the game for myself, and the proper way to play was on the highest difficulty. And we had a long discussion about why, and he said that the game is so much more interesting on higher difficulty, and as I said, you get more out of it, and you spend longer in it, so you basically have more for your money and stuff. Well, I didn't actually pay for it, so... Okay, what did we get? Some damage increase, don't know which one. And by not paying for it, I didn't, like, steal it. I actually... My girlfriend bought a new computer. She built one from scratch, basically, and with her graphics card you basically got Bioshock Infinite for free. And the Tomb Raider, the new one as well. Kind of a good deal. And later on they added Far Cry Blood Dragon, so definitely a cool deal, but yeah, that's where I got it from. But we later on basically ended up agreeing that, well, he apparently considered the difficulty of the game to be a positive feature, so he wanted it more difficult to keep it interesting. Which in some games I also do, but especially playing the Bioshock games. I was doing it for the story, so ouch. Hate that skill.
Your path is free.
And I get the same story on higher difficulty as I do on very easy, or whatever it was, whatever the lowest difficulty is. So don't quote me on the exact names. But yeah, I get the same story, but firstly I get it quicker and I don't die so much getting it. So and well, so we came to a positive conclusion that he wanted it difficult, so that's fine. And in other games I also prefer having it slightly more challenging, but it's just about what people want. And to my mind, there's no way of playing a game in the wrong way. I would argue that if it's an online game or something where it has sort of like a community, you can do wrong things. And I will continue talking about online games and such in the next episode. I'll see you then. Bye bye.